Good morning everyone. It's Friday morning, a nice early post for you today, a little live, trying to dispel a few myths. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a advanced personal trainer specializing in diabetes, obesity, autoimmune and hypothyroidism, and I am doing Facebook lives as regular as I can, not just to share information, and knowledge that I've got to try to help as many people as possible, but also to help make a bit of clarification on stuff that sometimes you can find online that is inaccurate or sometimes are wrong, so that people can understand how they can best improve their health, in the simplest possible way. So today we're going to cover a few items. It's nice and simple subject today, so we're not going to be doing anything in respect to the thyroid series or diabetes series. It's all going to be about certain subjects, certain myths I should say, that are out there, and unfortunately those are some of the things that contribute to people not eating healthy diets, as well as not being able to lose weight, fueling partly the obesity epidemics that we have. So first of all, I wanted to cover the issue of saturated fat. I did a post a couple of days ago about saturated fat and how they've been demonized, in the current culture as being the one macronutrient that is causing single-handedly heart disease. Now we know that we now know that's not the case. We were told, you probably remember many years ago, we were told, oh, don't eat too many eggs otherwise you get a heart attack, increase your cholesterol level. That all started from, unfortunately, a researcher many years ago called Ansel Keys. He set out to prove that cholesterol was the cause of heart disease, high cholesterol, and in particular the saturated fats were the cause of high cholesterol. And is doing a study, 7-country studies, which has now been proved to be absolutely flawed, because he actually tested 21 countries, but he picked the one that more closely gave the results that he wanted. So basically he succeeded in in saying, well, okay, saturated fats are the enemy, and therefore if you have high diet in high saturated fats, you will end up with high cholesterol, which in turn will give you heart disease and heart attack. And of course, a lot of companies have been more than willing to jump on that, because of course we do know there's a lot of money behind processed foods, in particular some cereal company and sugar company and all that kind of stuff. So the research has now proven that, and this is very important, everybody understands this, the research has now proven that dietary fats have got no implication whatsoever, no effect whatsoever on cholesterol levels. So it's not the fats that you eat that give you high cholesterol at all, and that's been proven now, and is accepted widely. However, the guidelines of low fat has not been changed. As it happens, the Eat Well plate, or as people in the right circle like to call it, the Eat Badly plate, which is the current guidelines, advise people to have 55% carbohydrate, 30% fat and 15% protein. So, and the fats that they advise people to have is actually not saturated fat, polyunsaturated fats, which we now know actually cause more inflammation than good. I'm going to cover that in a second. So we now know that the fats that you eat, from the food that you eat, does not have an impact on the level of cholesterol, on your cholesterol level. So the guidelines have not been changed, and that is because there are other reasons why the guidelines have been changed, and it's all to do with profits, unfortunately, not about your health, but it's all to do with profit. But the interesting part was that what the powers that be failed to tell people is that there is no food in nature that contains fat that does not contain saturated fat. All foods that contain fat contain a mixture of all fats, yeah, saturated and unsaturated, and some monounsaturated fats, yeah. So you cannot possibly get, first of all, that proves that in a study, if you do a study on saturated fat to see whether they cause cholesterol, high cholesterol, you can't do that because food contains a mixture of all fats, number one. Number two, most importantly, while people have been told, okay, stay away from animal fats, you know, because the saturated fats are bad, contain high level saturated fats, and therefore they're bad for your cholesterol, so stay away from red meat, stay away from eggs, stay away from butter and all the kind of stuff. There's in favor of polyunsaturated fats, so all seed oil, margarine, and these actually first of all, they're very, very bad fat because they're very, very high in omega-6s, and omega-6 is while omega-3, 6 are supposedly good fat for you, essential fatty acid the body needs, the balance between omega-3 and omega-6 is absolutely vital. And in our diet, because we have a lot of processed food, and because we've taken on this advice of avoiding saturated fat in favor of polyunsaturated fats, we are having a huge amount of omega-6s, which in huge amount, especially if it's out of balance, it should be a 3-to-1 balance with omega-6s to omega-3s, yeah. Our balance, most people were like 20-to-1 balance. What it does, it starts causing inflammation and disease. Yeah, so, but not only that, the interesting part is that if you look at the post I did a couple of days ago, I put a slide that was comparing 100 grams of steak, yeah, and which contains all different types of fats, among them saturated fat. And you know, we've been told don't have red meat, is better for you because it increases your cholesterol, yeah. 200 grams of eggs, 200 grams of almonds, 200 grams of olive oil, yeah. So, and what it actually showed is that plant-based fats, which we've been told are healthier for us because they don't contain saturated fat, yeah, actually contain way more saturated fat per measure compared to meat. So 100 grams of meat versus 100 grams of olive oil, which is mainly monosaturated fat, but it does contain monosaturated, polyunsaturated and saturated fat. Olive oil had 7 times the amount of saturated fat compared to 100 grams of meat, yeah. Almonds contains 3 times as many saturated fats compared to 100 grams of meat. Yet we've been told that red meat is bad for you, but nuts are good for you, and olive oil is good for you. Yeah, why? Because they don't look at the saturated fat content, yeah. So they just demonize one thing as opposed to another, yeah. So the clarification that I wanted to make is this: first of all, saturated fat are not bad for us. They are not bad for us at all, yeah. So, and they don't increase your cholesterol levels at all. They got no implication on that. There is no direct correlation with that whatsoever. Number two is that the advice we've been given to go for vegetable oils and that kind of stuff not only is bad because it actually doesn't take into account that some vegetable oils actually contain, and some plant-based foods, plant-based fat foods contain more saturated fat than actually the animal-based counterparts, yeah. But most importantly, we've been moved from saturated fat, which is something the human body has been dealing with, you know, has been eating for years and years and years, millions of years, yeah. Think back on the old day cavemen. You know, cavemen used to go and hunt, hunter-gatherer, yeah. Hunt, get the animal, kill the animal, eat the animal, everything. And that would be lots of saturated fats as well, because animal fats, yeah. And then it will gather as well. So we'll gather, you know, berries and leaves and whatever they had available, yeah. And that would be on occasions when it was available. So our body is used to, we are omnivores, yeah. That means we eat meat, you know, we are carnivores as well as vegetables and fruits, yeah. So our body is built to have all of the nutrients, all of the different type of fats, carbohydrates and protein, yeah. So it needs a balance of everything, yeah. So to remove or reduce something drastically because of a flawed study, and especially when then you point people towards a type of fat, polyunsaturated fat, which is actually going to cause even more inflammation, yeah, that is total nonsense and is total negligence yeah, because this information is well known, especially with the researchers now proven there's no link to from saturated fat to high cholesterol. That's been proven now. And yet, how many people you ask them, well, you know, you have eggs, they eat eggs, or you can't eat too many eggs, they're bad for you. People still think that's the case. It is not the case. So what's the advice? The advice is to eat real food, yeah? Because the only place where you find bad fat, and by the way, the only bad fat existing on this planet are the ones that are made by men. They're called trans fat. And you find them in margarine. Funny enough, isn't it? They say margarine is good for you, you know. Margarine is low fat. Margarine has got extra enriched with omega-3s. That is all rubbish, absolute rubbish. Margarine contains trans fat. Trans fat, on the other hand, have been proven to directly cause increase in cholesterol, which can give you a heart attack. And yet the advice is to go towards those ones, yeah? And even all oils, guys, I mean, unless you put in olive oil and avocado oil to the side, talking about refined vegetable oils, so seed oils, canola oil, safflower oil, soybean oils, those oils are actually so inflammatory to the body, yeah? Those oils are made through a ridiculously intense chemical process. You cannot take oil out of a seed unless you put it through a chemical process, yeah, which is, first of all, is not natural, number one, yeah, and most importantly has been proven because of the high content of omega-6 they contain, they actually cause inflammation in the body, which then leads on to chronic disease, yeah. So if you want to get rid of certain fats, the ones you want to get rid of is all the vegetable oils, yeah, seed oil, get rid of that. So you're fine having your saturated fat from an animal world, you're fine having your olive oil is fine, extra virgin olive oil is fine, avocado oil is fine, coconut oil, another plant-based one, is fine, yeah. Stay away from refined vegetable oil, completely stay away from those ones, yeah. Stay away from trans fats. So margarine should not be part of anyone's life, yeah. And it's not about being low fat and low calorie. I will discuss that in a second, why calorie is not a calorie. But it's, if you get anything out of this podcast, out of this live, is please ditch the margarine. That's the worst thing you can do to your body. Trans fat, those have proven and been linked to increase your cholesterol and been linked to heart disease. Yeah, serious health concerns. Certain countries have actually banned them. Yeah, that's how bad they are. Yet they're very, very, very readily available here, and you know, not, God forbid, it's saturated fat that bad. So how do you get rid of all this crap? Yeah, simple. Eat real food. It's not rocket science. Everybody's trying to complicate life. It's not complicated. If you just eat real food, you will have the right balance for your body to work properly, and you will avoid omega-3s and omega-6s imbalances that cause inflammation. Yeah, what is real food? I've said this a few times. Real food is, if it is anything that used to walk, swim, fly, grow from the tree or grow from the ground, that's real food. Yeah, if it's been altered in any way, that's processed. Okay, so you know, cereals are not real food. Cereals is processed. You know, chicken nuggets is not real food. People say basically it's chicken. No, it's chicken nugget. It's been breaded, fried with all the bad oil, by the way. So it's this process. You want chicken, you have a nice piece of breast chicken. Yeah, you don't have a nuggets version. Yeah, all the kind of stuff. Cured meat, all of that, that's all processed stuff. Yeah, you have a nice steak, you don't go and have processed stuff, salami, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's processed. So that's to cover the saturated fat. So saturated fat are not bad for you. Stick to real food, you're not going to have a problem. Yeah, and stay away from margarine and seed oil. Those are the ones that give you a lot of problem. Yeah, and it's okay to eat eggs, it's okay to eat steak, absolutely fine. Yeah, right. Next thing that I want to cover, and this is really, really important, because this is going to help you to not only get your health back on track, but also help you with your waistline. Yeah, this is something that again has been going around the for many years, and it still was exploited by a lot of slimming company that take money for people to, you know, to give them a diet that's the same for everyone, based on whether it's points or based on colors, doesn't make, and it's all based on calories. Yeah, now a calorie is not a calorie. You probably heard this before, or sometimes you say calories are not all equal, you know, whatever be the case. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're just based it on calories, yeah, reducing your calories, you will never win, ever. If anything, you're more likely to put on weight and more weight and more weight and more weight and actually get obese in the end. Yeah, why am I saying this? Right, first of all, what you need to understand is that our food has got three main macronutrients. Yeah, it's got carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates is contained, well, let's just say most food contains a mix of all three of them. Some of them are more high carbohydrates, some of them are lower carbohydrate. But carbohydrate basically contains anything. There's good carbohydrates, so your vegetables are good carbohydrate, and there's bad carbohydrates, so or your sugars, your donuts, your sugary cereals, and all the crap, pizza, pasta, all the kind of stuff. Yeah, so the bad carbohydrates, and there's again good fats and bad fats. So the bad fats, as I mentioned before, is trans fat. The good fats is everything else apart from omega-6s, if it's going to be out of balance with omega-3s. Yeah, and protein, there's not such thing as bad protein. Proteins are the building block for life. Yeah, so all of these macronutrients have got a function in the body, and they're used by the body for different purposes. Yeah, so give an example. Carbohydrates are only used for fuel. Yeah, they convert it to glucose and the body runs on glucose, you know, unless you're ketogenic like myself, and then you run on ketones, but that's something different. So, and that's the main preferred source of fuel for the body, because it's easy to convert, you know, a carbohydrate to glucose and use it quite quickly if it's needed immediately. Yeah, that's all carbohydrates do. Then you got fat and proteins. Now, proteins are the building block. Yeah, for everything. So from muscle to bones, help with building hormones, a lot of things. Yeah, and are used as building block for build and repair, for maintenance, and for various body processes. Yeah, and can somehow be used for fuel, although it's not ideal. They're used for fuel sometimes in a process called gluconeogenesis, where amino acids from the proteins are converted into glucose if a body requires glucose at the time. Yeah, so the body can make its own glucose, by the way. And fats are used, again, fats can be used for fuel, just like as well as carbohydrates, and also are used for again for body processes, for rebuild and repair as well, and in particular they're very vital for hormones as well. Yeah, so so what happens is, if you have a low, and for vitamins, if you have a very low fat diet, the first thing that starts going out of whack are your hormones. Yeah, and you will not be able to absorb essential vitamins A, D, E, K, because they are only soluble in fat. Yeah, low fat diet will screw all of that, which will then have a major implication for your health. Okay, so out of all the three macronutrients, proteins and fats are the one I use for everything. Yeah, from fuel to body processes to rebuild and repair. Yeah, while carbohydrates are only exclusively used for fuel. That's why we've got essential amino acids, which are protein, essential fatty acids, which are fat, and there's no such thing as essential carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are not essential for the body to survive. And this is something you need to understand. Yeah, because unfortunately we've been drilled that carbohydrate is essential. No, carbohydrate not essential. Your body can make its own glucose. As I said, it will convert amino acids from the protein to make glucose if it needs it. Yeah, okay. So, and actually the body works a lot better on ketones, which is fat metabolism. Yeah, so they created from fat metabolism of burning fat rather than burning carbohydrates. And the only organ that, you know, really requires glucose in part is the brain. And again, the body will produce that if it needs that by himself. It does not need to have dietary carbohydrate, but that's something else. Okay, so having explained this, about what carbohydrates are useful for the body, proteins and fat, that's when the calorie becomes the calories a calorie question comes in. Because I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you eat 2,000 calories. Yeah, so your body needs 2,000 calories, which of the 2,000, 1,500 used as basal metabolic rate and 500 used for energy. So basal metabolic rate is basically the amount of calories your body needs at rest. So if you were to spend the whole day doing nothing, sitting down or in bed, doing absolutely nothing, no activity at all, the body still burns calories for digestion, respiration, circulation, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, for everything, building, repair. The body is constantly burning calories, and of course, muscle mass burns calories at rest as well. Yeah, so the more muscle you have, the higher metabolic rate. And then, of course, you need some calories for energy, because as soon as you start moving, you need energy more in addition to your basal metabolic rate. You need that kind of energy to come from somewhere. Yeah, so let's give a nice easy simple example. 2,000 calories a day your body requires, 1,500 are used for just the standard processes, and the other 500 are used for energy. Yeah, now if you follow the eat well plate or eat badly plate, which is a current recommendation from the government, you will be eating 55% carbohydrate, which includes, as well as the good vegetables, yeah, includes fruit, which again, fruit needs to be careful with. You need to control fruit as it's got high in sugar. But worse, it allows for whole grain, cereals, bread, pasta, anything. Yeah, so 55% of your calories from carbohydrates, 30% of your calories from fat, and only 15% of your calories from protein. Now remember, protein is a building block for the body. Yeah, it's everything uses protein. So 15% is just bloody ridiculous. There's not enough there, for your body to utilize properly. Now, if you were to eat real food, like I mentioned, anything that used to walk, swim, fly, grow from a tree or grow from a ground, yeah, if you eat real food that hasn't been tampered with, hasn't been processed or made extra palatable, all the crap of stuff we do to our food as human beings, yeah, your macronutrient ratio will be more like 10% carbohydrates, 30% fat, and 60% protein. Yeah, that would be more the natural way that most of real food is based like. Now, so as I said, is if real food compared to the eat well recommendation, yeah, or processed food, which is a lot of it is from the eat well plate, that makes a big difference on what macronutrients you have. Now, bear in mind, I told you before that carbohydrate, fats, and protein are used by the body in different ways. Yeah. Now, your basal metabolic rate is what your body is the burning of your body, the amount of calories your body burns to maintain your body, maintain processes in your body. So for the basal metabolic rate, what your body needs, the only thing your body can use is literally proteins and fats. The body does not use carbohydrates for basal metabolic rate, for maintaining the processes in the body and building and repairing the body. It can only use proteins and fat. So if you're eating processed food, or if you follow the eat well plate, the current guidelines recommendation in the UK, out of the 2,000 calories you eat, you will only have about 803 calories of that, which is from fat and protein, because the recommendation is 55% from carbohydrate. So you're going to be deficient. You're not going to be providing your body with enough calories for the processes it needs to rebuild, repair, and maintain, the optimal health. Yeah. If you follow a real food diet, yeah, because you're going to be eating less carbohydrate, because real food does not contain such high amount of carbohydrate, you're going to be eating more fats and protein. You will actually end up having, out of these 2,000 calories, you will end up having about 1,400 calories, which are to be used towards processing the basal metabolic rate. So you are actually a lot closer to the calories that your body needs to work optimally to maintain its own processes. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is this. Because on the Eat Well plate, that's government guidelines, you have 55% carbohydrates out of your total daily intake. This has been, again, based on a 2000 calorie diet, yeah, daily intake, which most people will have. Now, 55%, allowing for the thermic effect of food and everything, that will give you about over 1,000 calories from carbohydrates on the Eat Well plate. Now, we said before, when you eat 2,000 calories, if your basal metabolic rate is 1,500, you only need an extra 500 calories for energy to do what you need to do. With the Eat Well plate, you end up with over 1,000 calories in energy from carbohydrates. Yeah, remember, carbohydrates are the only macronutrient that can be used for fuel only. It cannot be used for the maintenance repair of a body. Yeah, so what does it mean? It means that you got 500 calories surplus. You are left literally with 500 calories will be used for your energy intake requirement, and the other 500 is going to be stored because the body doesn't need it. And guess what? It gets stored as fat. Carbohydrates get stored as fat. Yeah. So on the Eat Well plate, you have a deficiency in on the calorie side when it comes to supporting your body processes that it requires as part of a basal metabolic rate, and you have a surplus in calories when it comes to energy, supplying the calories the body needs in energy, which you're getting double the amount of calories than you actually need, resulting in them being stored as fat. While with eating real food, because your carbohydrate intake is a lot lower, real food does not contain so much carbohydrate, but your protein and fat intake is higher. So you have your needs for building, repairing, and processes your body needs to do under a basal metabolic rate are pretty much met. Yeah, but this is the interesting bit. The amount of calories you're left from the carbohydrate, which works out only about 10% of your total intake using real food, is only about 186 calories. Yeah, so your body requires 500 calories, yeah, for your energy, based assuming 2,000 calories a day requirement. Yeah, you only provided 186 calories from the carbohydrate you've eaten with your food. So what happens? The body has to take the rest from the body fat. So when the body hasn't got enough carbohydrate to supply energy, the body switches to fat burning. And what it does, it releases fats from your cells, yeah, from your fat cells. They get converted into ketones. And ketones are bodies that the body uses for fuel more efficiently actually than glucose. Yeah. And the end result is that you're going to be slim and healthy. So this is what I wanted to highlight. So when you compare to people who follows the guidelines, which is basically 55% carbohydrate, 30% fat, 15% protein, which is the guidelines from the UK, which are, of course, in the last 20 years since we've been following these guidelines. Unfortunately, they were set up because of, studies like from Ansel Keys that demonized the wrong thing, and push everybody away from fat. You push them towards carbohydrate. The end result of these 20 years of these guidelines has been a massive obesity epidemic, and diabetes has tripled. Type 2 diabetes has tripled. Yeah, because now we know the high carbohydrate diet is what is causing the problem with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So much so that you finally have organization like Diabetes UK, they're now advising all diabetics to go on a low carb diet. The penny has dropped. It's taken 20 years for the penny to drop. But the problem is this, they're not telling everyone. They're not making big announcements about that. They're not saying, we've got it wrong. We need to change the guidelines. Everybody stop stuffing your face with carbohydrate. Just have a good amount of vegetables, Don't have all these grains, all these cereals, all this crap processed food. Just stick to real food, and then we can reverse all this mess. No, they're not saying that. Why? Because there's money behind this. Most of the big organizations are sponsored, or they are supported by the big company. Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, they're all behind that. Yeah, and they're pushing the money into this organization. Of course, not going to go against the sponsor. Yeah. But that's something else. So 2000 calories. If a calorie is not a calorie, it's all about nutrient density. You eat food as it comes in nature, you will have the right balance between carbohydrate, fat and protein, which means your body will be supplied with a higher amount of good fat and protein to support its basal metabolic rate, all the process it has to do, to survive and to work optimally, building hormones, building muscle, the bones and all that kind of stuff, circulation, respiration, all of that. Yeah, its needs are met by real food diet. Yeah, and then you will have a deficit energy wise. Yeah, so if you're active, your mommy start moving, you're a little bit active, your energy requirements will be higher than what the food that you eat, if you eat real food, will provide from a carbohydrate point of view, which means the body is then forced to burn its own body fat, yeah, to meet this energy requirement. That's how you stay healthy and slim. While on the other hand, you follow the UK guidelines for the Eat Badly Plate, as we call it now, you eat processed food, which again are based on the macronutrient ratio, pretty much of a high carbohydrate and high fats as well, and you end up with having the same amount of calories as somebody who eats real food. You end up sick and fat instead, because you will have a massive deficit in proteins and fats on your diet, which will not meet your body requirements for sustaining itself, basal metabolic rate, for all the function it needs to sustain itself. But then you have a massive surplus of carbohydrates, and you're not going to burn them because you don't move enough. Yeah, and the body will use what it needs, and the rest is stored as fat, so you end up fat and sick. That's why a calorie is not a calorie. In addition to that, the interesting part is that every macronutrient has got a thermic effect. Yeah, what it means is that the body burns when you eat something. Let's say you eat carbohydrate, the body has to, in the process of digesting it and absorbing the nutrients from that, uses energy in itself. Yeah, so you eat 100 grams of carbohydrate, you don't get 100 grams worth of energy, yeah, calories. You get 92 grams worth of that. Yeah, so some of that is being lost in the process of converting that into fuel and converting into getting nutrients out of it and everything. Now, of all the three macronutrients, yeah, between carbohydrate, fat and protein, yeah, the one that's got the highest thermic effect is protein. So if you eat protein and you have let's say 100 grams of protein, the actual amount of protein your body gets, and the amount of nutrients and amount of energy your body gets is only 75 grams. Yeah, because it takes 25% of that it burns 25% of that in the process of assimilating that protein. Yeah, so actually when you're thinking about keeping your calories low and and what is most efficient for the body, you can eat more, and actually having that impacting you the least is actually protein. Yeah, but yet again, in the Eat Well plate or Eat Badly plate, we are told to limit our protein. Yeah, and while we told to limit our protein, there's this idea that protein is bad for you, protein is gonna mess up your kidneys, protein is giving you cancer. That is all scaremongering. Yeah, so this is myth and myth and myth. First of all, protein does not give you kidney disease. Absolutely not. The reason why this myth going around is because if somebody has got kidney disease, they recommended a low protein diet. Yeah, because studies have shown that if you have kidney disease, then high protein will make it worse. Yeah, proteins are difficult to digest, and kidneys got to deal with that. Yeah, it requires a lot of work from the kidneys. So if your kidneys are diseased, you put in more strain on the kidneys. Of course, it's going to get worse. But the kidney disease is not a consequence of you eating high protein at all. People already got kidney disease are recommended to have lower protein to put less strain on kidneys. It's not that the protein gave you kidney disease. So number one, that's it. Number two, cancer. Proteins do not give you cancer. High protein diet does not give you cancer. Again, this comes to the fact that people with cancer patients are put on low protein diet. Why? Because proteins activate mTOR. mTOR is a process, is a protein that basically is involved in the protein synthesis. Yeah, and it's involved in growing, multiple processes in your body. So of course, if you got cancer, the last thing you want is to have high mTOR, because high mTOR is what escalates growth. Yeah, and you don't want, if you escalate growth when you have cancer, you spread the cancer. So of course you want to minimize that. Yeah, but it's not the mTOR, the growth, that actually is causing the cancer, because we actually growth spurs. There are times in our life where mTOR is elevated. Yeah, because the body needs it. For example, when during puberty. Yeah, during pregnancy, because the body needs growth, because that's part of a human process. Yeah, how the body builds and it promotes itself. So though mTOR is essential for the body, what we don't want is to be activated too often and for too long. Yeah, so if people who've got cancer put on low protein diet, again, because they don't want mTOR activated, because that will spread the cancer quicker. But it's not the mTOR activation, therefore the proteins, that causing the cancer. That is another myth. And again, this is because, unfortunately, there is the beauty of the internet is that you can find a lot of information there. The pain of the internet is that people misinterpret things. Only half truth are said, and as a result, then everything get twisted in line with people's agendas. Yeah, so that's why I always say you always need to make sure that whenever somebody tells you this is bad for you, just don't take the word for it. Go and research it. There's good research sites, PubMed and ResearchGate. These are research sites where the only studies published there have been peer-reviewed by the 3 peer reviews. So not only there are studies that have been proven, but they've been reviewed by 3 different peers. Yeah, which means they've been checked, double-checked, and triple-checked for accuracy. And you don't get on those research sites unless the study is being checked, double-checked, and triple-checked, and is 100%. Yeah, that's where you get your information, not from your next door neighbors who decide that the eggs are bad for you, not even from government guidelines, especially when the government guidelines have been proven to be so wrong. We 20 years of these guidelines. Look where we are. We are living on processed foods. Our supermarkets are 2/3 processed foods. Yeah. Our health has declined. I mean, even autoimmune disorders are on the increase. Because I say it's inflammation. Our body is so inflamed because we're eating food that is not in balance. The only way to eat balanced food is eat real food. I mean, we shouldn't even need to say eat real food. We shouldn't need to say to eat real food. We should be saying don't eat fake food, which is the processed food. Instead, we have it to qualify real food, because the people don't understand what real food is. They think the processed food is real food. If it didn't walk, it didn't swim, it didn't fly, it didn't grow from a tree or grow from the ground, it is not real food. It's that simple. Look at your diet. Ever conscious look at your diet, what you eat on a daily basis. How much of it grows from a tree, grows from a ground, or used to swim, walk, or fly? Cocoa Pops? Did Cocoa Pops grow from the ground? No, they didn't. Did pasta grow from the ground? No, they didn't. Yeah. So even things like cheese, does it come out of a cow like that? No, it doesn't. Yeah. And talking about cows, I actually put a quote yesterday, which is brilliant, from brilliant research researcher, Zoe Harcombe. I mean, she's been fighting in the UK to get these guidelines changed together with other cardiologists, and she is brilliant. So if you ever want to Google her, Zoe Harcombe, she's got a website, and she challenges everything. Every study that comes out, she will go into that, look at the basis of that, and challenge it, because she is very well aware there's a lot of interest behind some certain studies that are pushing us in the wrong direction from a health perspective to fuel the profit of, you know, interested parties. Yeah. And there's a quote that she said that it was so hilarious, I had to put it on my Facebook yesterday, and it's this. It said, unless you are a cow or you want to be as big as one, stop grazing. Yeah, so that's another one of the things that we've been told all the time. You know, you need to keep your metabolism going. You need to eat regularly, every 2 to 3 hours. This is in the bodybuilding world, especially 6 meals a day, 7 meals a day. That is rubbish. Every time you eat food, you're activating insulin. And by the way, activating insulin will also activate mTOR. What did I just say about mTOR? mTOR, if you activate mTOR too much and too often, then it will increase your cancer risk. So it's not about protein, it's insulin will activate mTOR as well. And every time you eat, especially the foods that we eat nowadays are full of high carbohydrate food, you activated insulin. So not only putting yourself at risk of inflammation, high risk of cancer, but you also putting yourself at risk of type 2 diabetes, because you keep on doing that, grazing, eating more often and eating the wrong foods. You will become insulin resistant, which then it turns into type 2 diabetes. Yeah, okay. So I love the quote. Now, one last thing I wanted to say, I don't want to be too long, was this. So if a calorie is not a calorie, and then it doesn't really matter how many calories you eat. So why do we bother counting calories? Right, I advise all my clients they count calories. There's a reason behind that, because number one, I want to see what they're eating. So I get them to complete their food diary on MyFitnessPal, which is a free application. You can get it doesn't cost you anything, and I get to see what they enter. And I don't get them to complete, I give them calorie guidelines and macronutrient guidelines, yeah, based on what they're trying to achieve. And I tend to stay as close as possible to calories for one reason. When I look at the food diaries, I don't look at the actual total calories. I look at the spread between carbohydrate, proteins, and fat. Yeah, for the very reason that I just covered for you, why, you know, the importance of what your spread is, how it's going to impact your body. Yeah, but the reason I make them count calories is very simple, because if you don't record it, you can't measure it, and if you can't measure it, you can't fix it. In particular, it's all about when you count calories, especially in applications like MyFitnessPal. You can use Chronometer, it's quite good, I use that as well. They not only they tell you how many calories you're eating, they tell you your macronutrient split, so carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. They tell you vitamins content, although it's not 100% accurate, because it depends on how they've been stored, the information has been stored and entered in this application, but it gives you a rough good idea. But for me, it's more important, it creates awareness. When somebody enters, you know, they've had, for example, a very common one I have, people have like the old glass of wine here and there. When they enter in MyFitnessPal, they're gonna see, number one is a lot of calories. Number two, there's no nutrients value whatsoever. And number three is a lot of sugars. Yeah, oh my God, you know, I just wasted this. I could have had literally a meal for that. Yeah, and that makes a big difference. So it creates awareness of what you're eating and how good what you're eating is. And number two, also help with portion control, because that's the other thing that is wrong with nowadays. That stops us losing weight and obtaining optimal health. Not only we're following the wrong guidelines, so we got the macronutrients in the wrong way, yeah, but also our portion are totally out of control. Yeah, and it's partly due to some of these fast food chains. You know, they do 1 penny get large for 1p, so we got this idea of value for money, or I might as well get the large portion because it's only 1p more. You know, forget the penny. It's a penny. Yeah, it's going to screw your health for good. You know, for the sake of a penny, you save the penny, really. You know, so you got to put things in perspective. So people have forgotten what a portion is. You know, a portion of rice is a fist. Now you put the fist in a plate, that's actually quite small. Yeah. When people have rice, they have a whole plate of it. That's about 5 portions in one go. You know, a portion of meat is like, you know, the palm of your hand. Yeah, a portion of cheese is like 2 fingers. Yeah, so we've forgotten what a right portion looks like, and that's where the problem is, because we're constantly looking for value for money. Get bigger and it's cheaper. You get more and it's cheaper, and then of course we get more. We eat more because it's there, because we eat because it's there. We don't eat because we're hungry. We eat because it's there. So multi-packs, and if you notice, all these special offers, buy two get one free, or half price and all that kind of stuff, is all on junk food. It's all on junk food. Why? Because junk food is cheap, so they can give you all these lovely offers. That you don't find an offer, buy two get one free on apples, buy two get one free on nice vegetables, buy two get one free on steaks, buy two get one free on eggs, real food. You didn't get that. Yeah, so of course, again, because we're so obsessed with saving and value, money, we are drawn towards the processed foods, which is what companies want to do, because that's where they make money. Yeah, and guess what? The processed food, not only they're bad because of all the reasons I already told you, but in the processed food, the companies do two things. Number one, they make them hyper palatable. Yeah, so what does it mean? They add very often they add lots of crap ingredients anyway, but they have a combination of high sugars, and sugars it's got many names. It could be sugar, sucrose, maltodextrin, it's all dextrose, all different things. Yeah, so they have sugar sweeteners. Yeah, all of those. They put a combination of sugar and a combination of bad fats. The bad fats are, like I mentioned before, are the seed oils. Yeah, so refined seed oils, so your canola, sunflower, safflower, rapeseed, all that stuff, soybean, all of those are bad fat, and trans fat as well. Yeah, so you got a combination of the two things that are most dangerous for your health and for your waistline, but for your health most importantly: sugars, bad sugars, and bad fats. Yeah, but they put them there. Why? Because it makes them hyper palatable. If they're hyper palatable, that means it tastes really nice. They taste gorgeous. And in addition to that, sugars is addictive. So they make them taste super nice. They make them in a way so that they become addictive, so then you want more and more and more, you buy more. And then what they do, as if that wasn't enough, because they already got you from a hormonal point of view and from a nutritional point of view, so they got nutrient devoid. Yeah, they got very little nutrients, and they got all the things that create addiction and bad health. But in addition to that, to make sure you buy them, because once you've tasted them and you start eating them, you're gonna go and buy more anyway. That's how they get you for that. But to make sure you buy them, they use clever marketing. Yeah, so they put healthy, or they put enriched with omega-3. So margarine spread enriched with omega-3. It makes no difference. It's got trans fat. It's going to kill you. It doesn't matter if you put a little bit of omega-3s in there. Go and get some salmon and get more omega-3s. Get it from real sources. Yeah. My favorite, one of my clients bought this cereal box, and I can't remember if it was shredded wheat or wheat. I can't remember which one, but one of those supposed healthy cereals. Yeah, and it had protein. So of course my client is trained. Says, "Oh, I need more protein." Bought that one, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, what do you mean protein? What do they put? Whey protein inside it? So I'm looking at the ingredient, and in bold they had wheat protein. And he goes, and I go to him, "Do you know what wheat protein is?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Wheat protein is every grain has got wheat protein. It's wheat, gluten, wheat. That's what actually is bad for you." Yeah, but because gluten is a type of protein, wheat is a type of protein. It's not the protein you think, like from animal, the one that helps you build muscle. It's got nothing to do with that. Yeah, it's a plant-based protein. It's actually very damaging to your gut as well. Yeah, so, and that's what they do, because it's got wheat protein, they're allowed to put protein at the front, so they fool people. Yeah, because we don't know any better, and the marketing is done on purpose to sell stuff. That's the bottom line. Yeah, so they fool people. So you buy the product, then you eat it, and then boom, it gets you the addiction from the ingredients, and then the bad health from the ingredients. Yeah, it gets you, and then you keep on buying it. And of course, on top of that, the supermarket do special deals, 2 for the price of 1, or buy this half price, and then you buy more, because then on top of that you go, "Oh, I'm going to save money as well." And then not only you screwed your health, yeah, you screwed the health of your children. the thing you gotta think. You want to screw your health, fine, just think twice when it comes to your children. Yeah, so that's what I want to say. So the important message here today, guys, is when you look at food, look at the nutrients. Yeah, look at the labels. It's very, very important, because people look at the labels in respect, they turn around, they look at the food and they look at the calories it's got. Oh, this is low calorie, that's good, I'm gonna have that. Look at the ingredients, look at the nutrition value. First of all, you want to look at carbohydrate, proteins and fat. That's the nutritional information at the back. On carbohydrate especially, look, it will break it down into carbohydrate or wheat sugars. Have a look at that, because that is a big giveaway, the first big giveaway. Next thing you're going to look at the ingredient list. The ingredient lists are put in order of quantity. So the first ingredient is the highest amount in the products, the last ingredient is the lowest amount of product. Now, if something's got more than 5 ingredients, my real food, it hasn't got more than 5 ingredients. Yeah, my real food, we have 2 or 3 ingredients maximum, you know, so even 1 most of the time. Yeah, so if you start having 5 or more ingredients, then you know that's not real food. If the question, did you walk, swim, fly, grow from a tree, grow from ground, fails you, yeah, look at the ingredient. That will give you the rest of the information. Yeah, so that's how you find out if something is good for you or not. Yeah, and you want to lose weight, you want to get better, feel energetic, you want to improve your health, you want to get rid of type 2 diabetes, you want to get rid of your autoimmune disorder, you want to get rid of IBS, Crohn's disease, all of the stuff. One simple thing you gotta do: start eating real food. Get rid of all the junk. Just eat real food as it was meant to be. Just ask yourself, would the Paleolithic men have access to this food? If it didn't, then chances are it's processed. It's that simple. Yeah. So and the other thing you need to do really is move. You have to move. The body's built to move all the time. Activity is very, very important. We spend about 20 hours in the day sitting or sleeping or lying doing bugger all, and 4 hours maybe moving. Yeah, it's supposed to be the other way around. 8 hours of rest, and the rest should all be activity. That's how the human body is built to work. You feed it the right fuel, it will all work optimally. Then you move, it will get you'll get the full package. Okay, hope you found this helpful, guys. I just wanted to dispel just a few myths, because there's so much wrong information there. But I will keep on doing posts and lives to as things come out, as new research comes out. There's a lot of research going on at the moment, especially in the ketogenic world, on understanding how the certain things are impacting the ketogenic world, and why the standard guidelines and the standard recommendation, vitamins, mineral recommendation, do not really fit alongside a ketogenic diet, because those are based on a high carbohydrate diet. So there's a lot of research going there. I'm keeping an eye out and seeing what's coming out a lot, and I will report back. Keep you updated as much as I can. As usual, if you need any help, more personalized help, this obviously is information for everybody to share and to learn from, hopefully. But if you need more personalized help, especially if you're diabetic, type 1 or type 2, or if you are you suffer from any autoimmune disorders, underactive thyroid, I do specialize in those areas, and I do offer programs where you get tailored personalized diet nutrition plans alongside exercise plans specifically for you, based on your needs, on your beliefs, based on your abilities and everything else. Yeah, so if you need help in those area and you want help, please get in touch with me. Otherwise, if you know anybody who will benefit from that, I think everybody should benefit from information on this one. It's trying to understand why you shouldn't look at calories, but you should look at the macronutrients of your food, rather to understand whether you're going to be losing weight or putting on weight. Anybody, just please share this information to anybody that you care about, and if you've got any questions, as usual, put a comment at the bottom, and I will answer them. Okay, thank you, have a good day, bye.